Hello, everybody. Dr. Rick Wallace here, dropping in. It's Friday, Quantum Physics Friday. Again, I'm shooting from my phone instead of the camera devices on the desktops. One, I haven't even turned on one desktop, and the other desktop has been giving me problems. So I just want to make sure I get through this without any technical difficulties, if at all possible. This has, without a doubt, been challenging. And so it leads me into what we're talking about today. Those who actually follow me outside of what I do in the way of personal performance, which is what we normally do in the morning, inspiration, motivation, preparation, things of that nature. I also do a great deal of work in the inner city community. Matter of fact, my largest following on social media is about the work I do in the community, and it's on YouTube. Well, YouTube snatched that channel from me yesterday. And it comes with a number of complications. We're in the process now of trying to get the channel back up and everything like that. So I'm going to actually be posting those on the other channel, which is normally where these type of videos go. But that's going to be what we're going to do initially until we get things back moving in the right direction on that end. So that's going to take some of my time, just trying to fight through and get that. It's one of those things that it's just a part of life. Nothing I actually did, but someone who, for whatever reason, doesn't like me or whatever, reported it. And they have this automated system because they have so many millions and millions. They don't review everything. If it's a certain thing reported, they just snatch it. And so we're working on that. Never had a strike in my life on YouTube. Built that from 0 to almost 16,000 subscribers. Never had one strike. And that's going on. So I'm dealing with that. And everything that goes along with it, because everything is systematically done in order for me to get all the stuff I have to do done in a day. And so the system has been disrupted. So now it's about trying to create a new norm for the temporary process. And so I'll get it done. I don't bend. I ain't gonna say I don't bend, but I don't break. I don't fold. I'm not gonna lay down. I'm not gonna whine and cry. It is what it is. We're gonna get it done, and we're gonna come out of it winning. That's something that we definitely are going to do. What I want to talk to you about is the importance of your intent. We're taught in scripture that God searches the intents of the heart. So it's not simply what you're doing, it's why you're doing it, what you plan on doing. But there is actually energy and force with intent, right? We talk about the physicality of our thoughts. We see that and says, as a man thinketh in his heart, so is he. In Matthew, Jesus says that out of the abundance of the heart, the mouth speaks, and it speaks constantly to the consistent force of your speech, but your speech comes from your thinking. Well, what I can tell you is that like attracts like. We are in a place where we are literally creating our reality. That's why we're told so often to guard our hearts and minds, because your mind starts to flow a certain way based off of what it perceives, what it believes, what it perceives, and what it assesses based off of past beliefs, current perceptions. In other words, as a little kid, you had a run-in with a dog. Dog came up to you to play with you. Big dog knocked you down, startled you, and your family who was there, they became startled, and you saw them afraid that something was wrong, and so you developed a fear of dogs. So any encounter with dogs is viewed from a negative perspective. You're walking down the street, and a big German Shepherd or Rottweiler walks out. Nobody's walking him, no leash, totally free. Your brain is going to go back into the belief system that dogs are bad because a dog hurt me when I was a kid. Look at that situation, assess, that's a dog, I'm in danger, your heart rate's gonna go up, a whole bunch of other things are gonna happen, you're gonna do it, dog senses fear, you will probably try to run. Dogs faster than you. And then it depends on how the dog is trained and what the dog has been through. But that's what happens when you assess a situation. You assess it from your beliefs. Your beliefs are built off of past experiences and teaching. So if you believe a dog is bad and you see a dog, within a matter of milliseconds, not even a second, a matter of milliseconds, the whole thing has been processed. You've developed an assessment of the current reality and you're responding or reacting to it. Now, that's one side of it. The other side is understanding how you can condition and train yourself to create for yourself the right environment. Producing something comes from the right environment. I tell people all the time, God meets you at your level of expectation. That's the very definition of faith. Yes, faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things unseen. But faith is also the end result of your expectations based off of what you believe. You will never get beyond what you believe. And so if you're believing something bad is going to happen, there's this process and cycle of behaviors, thoughts, and ideas that are happening. First of all, your thoughts are literally moving the world around you. Your thoughts have physicality. They aren't empty. You're literally resonating energy. That's the reason why you can walk into a room and be in a certain state and your mood will change without anybody saying anything to you or with anybody doing anything to impact it. It's because the energy in the room is different than the energy you're carrying. Sometimes you're on a high and you walk into a room and then you'll immediately come down. Somebody or several people in that room is putting so much negativity out that it literally vexes your spirit, as we would say, but it's impacting your energy or your spirit, which is your energy source. All right. That's one side. The other side is you can come in and actually be kind of melancholy, kind of down, had a bad morning, had a bad day. I just got a lot on your mind and you trying to work through it and you come down and there's a lot of positive energy. There's this force inside. And so you come in and you walk in and you look up and say, man, something's good in this room. And your spirit is literally responding to the high level of energy, the high frequency, the high vibration. One thing that you can do to actually improve and increase these type of encounters is by creating an environment yourself that you control. Stop being so responsive and reactive to your situations. In other words, when you're reactive to your situations, you're literally in a space or a place where you are vulnerable and subject to whatever happens. So if something bad happens, you're down. Something good happens, you're up. That capriciousness of your behavior and your mood and everything like that makes it very difficult for you to sit up and predict and expect things consistently to be one way or another. You're just riding the waves of whatever happens because you're not setting the state. You're not setting your expectations. You're not operating on faith. You're reacting to situations, and that works against you. You want to be in a situation where your circumstances, your situation, and your current condition are not what's controlling your expectations, your state of being, your mood, your mind. You want to be in a place where even when you are going through some of the most difficult and darkest times, you have an understanding of your relationship with God and what you can expect based on that relationship. And the way you do that is there's a way of setting intent. First of all, I am intentful. This is 100% of the time, every day, even with everything that's been going on, with all the technical stuff we face this month, the challenges, the YouTube issue, all that. I wake up every morning. The first thing that I have an intent on is being grateful. I wake up every morning and my goal is to establish a heart of gratitude. Find a reason to be grateful. And I guarantee you, I don't care where you're at, where you're going through, there's something to be grateful for. I am a native of Houston. I've had the pleasure of being able to travel around the country, around the world, live in a number of different places. And here's what I can tell you. And I can tell you with certainty that you have the ability to rise above the moment. You have the ability to be in a higher place, but you've got to have a state of gratitude. And what I can tell you is I wake up every morning, and no matter where I'm at or what I'm going through, my goal is to be thankful. And because I live in Houston, I can think of some places right off the bat that if you're in this area, and I'm pretty sure there's one in every city, so no matter who's watching this and where you're watching it from, in Houston, we have MD Anderson Cancer Center, which is in the medical center. We have Shriners Hospital for children, and these children have some of the most unbelievable disabilities you can imagine. There is a number of places. I also lived for a time in Dallas, and there's a place called The Bridge. The Bridge is probably the largest shelter for the homeless, where they provide services and a number of other different things in addition to shelter. If you think that you don't have a reason to be grateful, let's take a tour of the MD Anderson Cancer Wing. Let's take a tour of the Bridge near downtown Dallas and look at what's going on with these people who are all but invisible to the world around them. Let's go down to Shriners Hospital for children and look at children born without limbs. Look at children that have all forms of diseases and disadvantages that they're born into. If you think that you don't have something to be grateful for, let's call up some of the people that I know personally just in the last 5 years that have had to bury their own children. If you think that you don't have something to be grateful for and you're breathing and you're in your right mind, meaning that you can think in a way that you can have expectations for something better tomorrow. In other words, you have the capacity for hope and you don't have a reason to be grateful. We need to talk. If you don't have the capacity for gratitude, you're never going to have the capacity for abundance. And when I'm talking about abundance, I'm speaking so far beyond money. Money should be a secondary reality based on how you're living your life, that because you're doing things that are exceptional, extraordinary, phenomenal, and it's impacting the life of others in ways that they see your value. That should be the way your money's coming, because you're changing lives, because you're touching lives. If you're chasing a dollar, you'll see mechanisms, and you've worked the mechanisms, you'll get it, but you'll still end up empty. Trust me, I know. What am I saying? I'm saying that when you set intent, you control more than your moment. See, your moment, so many are responding and reacting to moments. I can tell you now, if you wait long enough, something will happen. And if you don't have the right intent, you will interpret it wrong. And a lot of what we go through in suffering isn't because of what's happening, it's because of the interpretation. I've said it, I don't want to exaggerate, but a million times. I'm exaggerating. I've said it a million times. Pain is inevitable. You're not going to circumvent pain in this life. You're not going to get through life and skirt around loss, frustration, heartache. You're not going to get, pain is inevitable, but suffering is a choice. Suffering is choosing to interpret the worst side of any situation and then identify with it in a way that you live in it perpetually. See, when you interpret a hardship or a difficult moment as a challenge, as a puzzle, as something that's meant to grow you, as something that's meant to empower you, as something that's meant to challenge you. You understand, if it's a puzzle, it's meant to be solved. And if it's meant to be solved, there's a universal mind. I call it God. There's a universal mind that's infinite in its consciousness and intelligence. It knows all the answers. And that if I'm in the right frame of mind, on the right frequency, on the right vibration, I simply need to have my ears, spiritual, open. And the answer to the problem is there. Never, when I am in a state of gratitude, do I not get the answer I'm looking for. May not come when I want it or exactly on the exact time that I plan it. But what I'm telling you is, when you have an intent to be grateful, here's the first thing. You automatically raise the frequency that you are personally emitting to at least 550 to 650 hertz. Anything from 500 hertz and up is healthy, it's positive, and it attracts the right things. When you start going down, especially down in the lowers under 250, Not all you're attracting is negative. All you can't like attracts like. That's why you got groups of people that all they do is complain. That's why you got groups of all the people, all they do is whine. Tell me when you find some people who are really on their game, doing exceptional and extraordinary things, is there a complainer in the group? And show me ones that consistently there's complaining in the group throughout the group. It doesn't happen. Why? Because there is an opposite and diametrically opposing energy in complaining versus giving thanks. I'm not saying that you be in a state of denial and say, okay, this isn't even happening to me. Now, I look at everything that comes to me that I find undesirable. I see it as an illusion. And people say, well, how is it an illusion? You're looking at it. It's real. It's factual. Because the world exists beyond what I can see. And I expect to be able to operate on that level. What am I saying? I'm saying that when you sit up and you look at it, I see the illusion. And it's because of my direct relationship with the mind of God. In other words, the mind of God cannot be stumped. There are no obstacles to the mind of God. There are no setbacks to the mind of God. There are no problems to the mind of God. The mind of God has the answer. The mind of God knows. I have access to the mind of God. You can call it the universe. You can call it God. You can call it what you want to based on your own ideas. But what I'm telling you, there's a universal consciousness that is both consciousness and matter and is moved by the thoughts that you produce. So in your intents, in the intents of the heart, if you want to be scriptural, is power. What do you intend? The first thing I intend in the morning is to be grateful. And that is not based off of me assessing any current reality. It's based off of the fact that I woke up, had breath to breathe, and the ability and capacity for hope, meaning that no matter what I'm facing, there's something that's inside of me that says there's a way to overcome it. And so with that being said, that's where my focus is. My focus is not on being pressed down, but in rising up despite the forces that are moving against me. You don't win in this world in the absence of obstacles and challenges and problems. You don't win in this world because you find a way to circumvent the difficulties, the struggles, and the vicissitudes of life. What you do is you win despite of them. You win because you refuse to quit. You win because you decide to rise. You win because you have made up in your mind that nothing in this world is going to stop you from living at the height of your design, at the level of your design, and you have demanded of yourself to live at a standard of excellence in everything you do. And that is not dependent or contingent upon what's going on around you. That is a level of intent of the mind, of the heart, which is the subconscious, and you have made up in your mind that absolutely nothing's going to stop you. It's faith. It is faith at its pure sense. God meets you at the level of your expectations. The universe responds at the level of your expectations. I once heard someone say that life will pay whatever price you demand of it. And I have found that to be true. I have found that life will pay whatever price you demand of it. But life, God, the universe, however you want to put it, always has a counter demand. You tell life, I want a more solid and passionate marriage. Life comes back and says, you're spending too much time with your friends, not enough time with your spouse. Counter demand. You're more concerned about what you want and be more concerned about what they want. Counter demand. I want to build a financial empire. Life comes back, God comes back, the universe comes back and says, stop spending frivolously. Start investing in things that produce a compounded return. Start seeing in the light of simplicity. Is it a liability or is it an asset? Does it have the ability to produce on its own? That is how You have to deal with it. You can make a demand on God. And if it's good, meaning that it's meant for good and that you're going to do good with it, you cannot be denied. The universe will not deny you. That's what it means when it says nothing shall be impossible. When you are looking to do great things, that's not withheld for certain people. Being exceptional, being phenomenal, being extraordinary is not something withheld for a select few. It's held for those who are willing to do the things today that most people don't do so that they can have the things that most people don't have tomorrow. It is about sitting up and saying, I refuse to be average by living my life on default. What's default? Get up and do what everybody else does. Get up and go to work. Come home. Do whatever everybody does when they get home. Read the same amount of books a year that everybody else reads, despite the fact that studies show that the average American only reads one book a year, and the top 5 performers, the top 5% of performers in this world read 4 to 5 books a month. But you're just going to read that one. You're living on default. You're going to get default results. Default is average. Default is mediocre. Demand more of yourself. Learn something new every day. Why is that? Because there's no higher frequency. Check this out. You got love. Love is at 500. You don't want to be below 500. Love is at 500 hertz. Gratitude is about 550 to 650. But at the highest level, the highest vibrations, guess where you're at? Enlightenment. In other words, you're learning. You're developing new ideas. You're evolving mentally, emotionally, psychologically, spiritually into being a better person, being a more powerful force, being someone that's more positive in the way you think, being someone that's more positive in the way you engage, being someone that have made up in their mind that they're going to live life at the level of their design. You are rising to meet life and meet the demands of life. And that frequency comes. Read some books that are empowering. Read the Bible with a new intention. For those who are into the scripture, those who claim that faith, read the Bible with a new intention of applying what you are reading more than what you are memorizing. I know personally some people who have memorized. If you were to look at them based off of where they are in the Bible, as far as knowledge and all of that, what they've committed to memory and all of that, you would say they are horrible practitioners of Christianity. And they would probably agree with you. But they have memorized 5, 6, maybe 10 tops scriptures. Here's the difference in why they are outperforming the person who can quote every scripture. And they exist. I know them, been around them. Let me tell you why they're being outperformed by the person who only knows 6. That person who only knows 6 committed them to memory, just as they committed the thousands of scriptures to memory, but they are applying these 6 to their lives every day. They're living based off the principles revealed in the scripture. They are making them applicable to what they are facing in life. One of the most quoted scriptures that I hear is, no weapon formed against me will prosper. Another one that I hear often quoted, God will never leave me nor forsake me. Another one, you are more than conquerors. And yet, here's the problem. If there's no weapon that will be formed, doesn't say that weapons won't be formed, but it says weapons won't prosper. Well, if weapons won't prosper, why are you stressing? If weapons won't prosper, why are you anxious? If weapons won't prosper, why are you fearful? If weapons won't prosper, why are you not stepping out into the purpose of your design? Why are you not living life at the level? Why are you hiding back in a corner? Why are you playing victim? Why are you whining and complaining? What with the power? There's a scripture I like, and I might misquote it a little bit, but it says that the eyes of the Lord roam to and fro over this entire earth, looking to show himself strong on behalf of those who are loyal to him. The eyes of the Lord roam to and fro over the entire earth, looking to show himself strong on behalf of those who are loyal to him. Now tell me, why am I going to fret? Why am I going to be disheveled? Why am I going to be stressed out? Why am I going to become anxious when I have that? Your actions should reflect the truth that you have perceived from what you have been taught and what you are experiencing and what you expect. Faith isn't saying I believe. Faith is taking action based on what you believe. That's what James meant when he said faith without works is dead. You have to move on it. You have to literally move on it. And that's why we get frustrated. I get Christians that ask me all the time, why is it they're over there and they're hardly ever at church, or they don't even go to church and they're prospering? It's because showing up at the temple didn't guarantee prosperity. Living out life based on the principles did. We get comfortable with practicing ritual. And when showing up on Sunday only represents that's what I've always done and that's what I've been told to do, and there's not anything personal attached to it, I'm just going because that's what we do, you've missed it. First and foremost, the work is done there. That's a preparatory place. That's a staging place. That's where you get what you need to go do what you do. But the thing is, it's all here. It's all inside of you. Why? Because you have the mind of God. Accessed anytime you want to access it. But you can't access it in fear. You can't access it through anxiety. You can't access it through worry and stress. You have to set the intent to wake up in the morning with a heart of gratitude. I'm grateful. I'm grateful first and foremost because I could have been one of those people who didn't wake up and didn't have another chance to get it right. I'm grateful because I prayed to God for fervently for a spouse, and I wake up and she's laying there, she's breathing. I'm grateful because I've been entrusted with the entire brood of kids. I call them kids, the oldest 34, but the youngest is 5. And that's a challenge in and of itself. Exactly, Sandra, the living the ritual and not the lifestyle. See, authentic faith demands by its very nature gratitude. Gratitude is the gateway to abundance. See, when I'm in a state of gratitude, there's no room for negativity, no room for anger, no room for hostility, no room for jealousy, no room for envy, no room for bitterness, no room for depression. All of those things that lower your frequency cannot be present in a heart of the state of gratitude. Escape the desire and the proclivity of complaining. Look at your moment and look for what's good in it. Look for the blessing in it. And I'm telling you that even the darkest moments have a blessing. I'm not telling you to become some kind of pain or suffering freak that you're out looking. What I'm telling you is that there's something that you have within your reach and in your grasp as a way of power of calling things that are not as though they were. To speak things into existence, to literally sit up and declare. And then I think it was Job, was it 33 and 22, something like that. You shall declare a thing and it shall be established for you. You shall declare. When you make a declaration, but see, the declaration has to come from a state of faith. A state of faith that leads to an expectancy of what you are declaring. Now, when you declare it, it's not there. You are declaring something that has not manifested itself. Therefore, it is by nature faith, because faith isn't required until what you are declaring or expecting can't be seen, can't be reasoned. It's the thing that other people will look at and say, I don't see how. But something inside of your spirit has aligned with what you're expecting, and your spirit is actually transcending what you're seeing in your current reality. People asked me when I was going through what I was going through 6 years ago. And I mean, everything that could go wrong seemed to be going wrong. I was down flat on my back, but I think Les Brown said that's a good place to be if you're going to fall flat on your back. Because if you can look up, you can get up. And I'm a witness that that's possible. But let me tell you, people say, how are you smiling when you're going through what you're going through? How are you down at the homeless shelter, serving homeless people, counseling homeless people, when you yourself are homeless? They don't know, brother, but I know. How are you doing this in this state? What are you in denial? Are you burying yourself in work so you can be? No, I'm not in denial, but let me tell you something. See, you're looking at my condition. You're looking at my circumstances. You're looking at what's going on now, the momentary affliction. See, I'm beyond that. See, I'm looking through spiritual eyes. I'm not looking through what I can see in my physical eyes. I'm looking through spiritual eyes, and my spirit has consulted the mind of God, and my spirit now disagrees with my circumstances. The praise you see in me, the joy you see in me, the happiness you see in me isn't because of the circumstance and the denial of the circumstance. It's because I'm already living in what I'm going through to get to. You got to learn how to live in your destiny more than you live in your moment. You've got to learn how to live in your destiny more than you live in your moment. See, your moment will get you caught up. It'll get you feeling down. It'll get you questioning your life, your purpose, God. But when you constantly can see, every day I spend time in my destiny. I'm where I'm going to be a year from now. I'm where I'm going to be 5 years from now. And so when I go through something, I don't get shaken by it because I've already lived beyond it. God gave us the power to do that. That's what calling things that are not as though they were means. You're speaking things that don't currently exist as if they do. Not I'm going to, I am. Not I will, I am. As I leave you here, I want you to understand something. Life isn't going to lay down for you. Life isn't going to roll over and play nice for you. Life isn't going to sit up and say, okay, since you've made a commitment, and you're all about this good stuff, and you're going to do well and good, I'm just going to get out your way and let me know if you need anything. Now, life is going to challenge you at every turn. Life is going to come at you and say, I'm going to deliver. God is saying, I'm going to deliver, but hey, you got to go through some things. You got to go in and possess it. Some of y'all know what I'm talking about when I say that. It's a biblical reference that many will pick up on, some won't. But basically, in the biblical account of the children of Israel, when they were brought out of Egypt and they were at the borders of the Jordan, and on the other side of the Jordan was Canaan, the promised land, and they are sitting there and they sent over spies, and God says, I have brought you to it. The deed of the land is in your name, but you got to go in and possess it. There are some other people possessing it now, but it belongs to you. You got to go in and possess it. And an entire generation missed it because they didn't have the fortitude to possess it. And so many people today are missing these unbelievable realities in their lives. Call them blessings, because they won't possess it. They're hiding behind comfort. They're hiding behind practicality. I heard, I want to think it was Jim Carrey that said, Far too many people live their lives and make decisions based on fear disguised as practicality. I'm just being practical. You know, that doesn't make practical. No, you're hiding behind fear. You're playing small. On that note, look, I'm going to get out of here. I wasn't even planning on being this long. So much I got to get done. But when something moves on me to share it, I allow myself to listen. And yeah, I know, Sandra, absolutely. But the thing is, wake up with an intent to win. Wake up with an intent on being grateful. Wake up with an intent on living your life at its fullest. I say this all the time, and it's become somewhat cliche to the people who have followed me for any stretch of time, but I live my life on full so that I die on E. And what that means is I won't take any of my potential to the grave with me. I believe it was Dr. Miles Monroe that said that the graveyard is the wealthiest place in the world. You got books not written, businesses not started, speeches and sermons not given. It's so much that people take to the grave because they live their lives in fear. And they never pick up the mantle of faith. I'm challenging you. I don't care what faith you claim. You should be walking it, living it, literally sweating it out of your pores. Not what you claim verbally, but what you live with every thought that moves through your mind. Are you bringing the thoughts that challenge your faith into captivity? Is the question. I'm challenging you to do that. On that note, I'm getting out of here. You guys have an unbelievable day, and hopefully I'll see you soon.